This is Justin Amazon on Thursday, February 28th, 2019. I'm zooming out a little bit. Why did that move? Sorry. Wasn't supposed to move. There we go. Zoomed out a little bit, showing this channel I just drew in yesterday, just to see kind of where we're at, where we were coming from in that. And seeing a little bit of the pre-market today, where we rolled back down and looking like we're coming right into this downtrend line, which this is the shallower downtrend line that I drew in a couple days ago. We'll switch over to the daily in a little bit and take a look at where it's at. But we were pushing above it end of the day 2 days ago. Well, I mean, we're above it 3 days ago. We're pushing above it 2 days ago, or yeah, 2 days ago, and then we ended above it yesterday. It looks like we're coming right back down to it, which is like, okay, if it was a candle that was, showing that it had some, potential support here that failed, and then we, saw it as resistance, came back up to it. It makes sense that we would S curve back down into it and possibly bounce. So I'm going to zoom back into the day, but I'll just tell you now, it bounced, and it bounced really strong, and we came back up into the 1650s, up into this candle. So let me zoom back in on this. That's how we kind of normally set things up. Look at the last kind of 2 days. Give us a little bit of a preview of what we got into the day based on what could have been happening. We just got a little bit bigger. So smaller candle here, bullish engulfing here. Now, today we're way up in this upper end of the range here, and we actually have these two. Technically, these two lines are kind of diverging, and see what happens to interact with them. And the opening candle practically touches the low. The opening candle's low practically touches that line. I mean, it's really cool to see a line work that well, right? I mean, that's where you're buying it. I mean, you could just have an order just sitting there like, okay, if it comes down to the line, give me a couple dollars stop away. If I'm watching it, get ready to hit the send or have it ready to be like, okay, let's see if we can bounce here. This price was also, if you follow the cursor to the left, was the resistance we saw yesterday that we were interacting with again here, that I drew the line across yesterday saying, that's a good place to pause. Here we are bouncing off of it today, same price. So people who are buying here, people who are stopped out of buying here, I mean, they're the ones buying here. And it ran up. And like I said, it continued to run up all the way into 1650s, low 1650s, made this inverted hammer at a previous resistance. I think it got up to 1654.70. And it's like up here, it's like, okay, that's a great hammer. If this pulls back, which some of these have been pulling back sharply, if it were to pull back, and I say some of these, I'm pointing at this one, but there was another one, I think the previous day. So if this pulls back sharply, I mean, that could be a quick 1R, maybe more than that. What happens? Yeah, sure enough, it pulls back. Pulls back. Now you're retesting this channel from below, and it does what it's been doing here, double bottom, here, double bottom, and now here, double bottom, right here, double bottom. It does a little bit of a neckline retest. You could kind of call this a bigger double bottom, or you could look at this as being kind of a retest of a wonky neckline, or at least getting back into that area. And then that starts to bounce. And look at this. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on just this. I want to be able to show the whole day. What time is this? 10:45. Okay, I should be able to get about 24 hours in here. Actually, I don't need that much. I can probably go a little shorter. There we go. Look at the sentiment right here. Stop moving. There we go. Look at the sentiment right here. You had an inverted hammer. It breaks down. If you're thinking bearish, you've retested here. You're right back up to this really large candle, and you start to roll over. Not only do you roll over, you make a new low, breaking a couple of these lows. Then you retest, you come back right back up to that previous wick, or not even quite up to that high. You have a small inverted hammer inside bearish candle. you start to break down. This is an evening star reversal sort of pattern here. And then this candle, this wick takes out the low of these previous bearish candles and then gets bought right back. Like at one point, this was about to roll over right here. And at some point, it was probably squeezing. The squeeze looks like it's firing bearish. It looks bearish. And immediately after that, wham, bullish candle. High and the close are the same. So it's a shave top candle. It turns into a Morningstar reversal. After it made a new lower low, like that's a trap. Anybody had moved their stop right under that candle, that tight, stopped out of it. And then it rallies. And again, it rallies, continues on up. Nice indecision candle right here. Look, remember the selling point right here? Got almost back up to it. Now we're above it and we're retesting with a very small bearish candle. I mean, you could just bracket this candle and play this really aggressively. Like, okay, I'm going to get in above it and stop below it because that is a really nice level right there. I mean, that's a trade. You could do it. It's really aggressive. You can do it. You know, make sure it's in your plan. Look at that. You could have done it again right here. Small candle. Not as clear of a resistance up here. There was a clear resistance right here. Let me draw this. This is what I'm picturing. Where's the annotate? We draw it in as a yellow box like I did the other day. Okay. If you're considering a bracket here, it's based on look what you did in that range in the last hour, 2 hours. You sold off sharply from that price. You retested and rolled over from it. Now you've broken out. You've gotten above this wick. You're actually above this wick with this candle. So at some point you were starting to go up or you pulled back and then you went up and came back down. And right here, this is your decision point. You could either switch colors. And you could either right here do a bracket and see the candle, see it roll over, or you could see it rally. Right there, that's a decision point right there. That's a trade setup. And what happens? I mean, if you set it up to go bearish here by here, it didn't trigger. And if you set it up to go bullish here by here, that triggered and you're already up. Up here, you were up probably an R already, and you've got some more room to get up to that high, you know, if it gets there, that kind of thing. So slow down, look at the candles, and you'll start seeing some of this stuff to show up. It's like, it's right there. You know, that's the setup. Unfortunately, that's as high as we got again, 1650. Nice round number. Really nice round number there. Sorry, I went to look at this candle. You've got an evening star reversal. You have the same kind of decision point right here as you had right here. Now it's a bullish candle, and the open and the close are 3 cents apart from each other. And it's going to do something here. It's on the 5. You are making a lower high from the early morning inverted hammer. You've totally retested to that hammer. I mean, look at the low on this candle. The low here is 1648. The low here is 1648.08. You've totally retested to that hammer. That's a really strong hammer at a really good location. Came back up to it. This is a great place to go bearish. And if you get a breakdown here, I mean, you could have gone bearish with the low, trigger below the low, and a stop above the high. And what happens? There you go, triggered in. Comes down, puts in a hammer. It's a bearish candle, so it's not as strong as a bullish hammer. And then the immediate next candle, you get an inverted hammer again. And I saw this and thought that I like this idea of going bearish here. This just retested into that candle. So anybody who didn't get in here and who didn't get in with an evening star reversal, that was your opportunity. So I was getting bearish here, looking for this to fade lower, and then it made that candle. It's like, okay, that's good. You know, it retested again. Looks like there's some bulls getting in. That's going to trap more if it goes bearish. And then this candle, which these two turned out to be tweezers, 3 cents off from being tweezer candles, tweezer highs, and then started to pull into the 21 and just went sideways. Like, is it really going to roll over now? Okay, here's another small indecision candle, bearish engulfing. It's like, okay, now it's going to go, right? Indecision again. And it's like, okay, I'm about to be stopped out. You know, my stop was up here somewhere. It's like, all right, I'll lose an R. I'm looking to fade it. You know, like I said yesterday, I wanted it to get back below this line and have the monthly be a bearish candle. That was what I went in today thinking. I missed this rollover. I didn't get in here. I was getting down here, and then thought, okay, it's just going to stop me out, and I'm just going to deal with that. And then it threw in that candle. I saw that candle come in, and I had something going on, and I didn't see this candle, and I wasn't stop out somehow, and somehow it broke back down. It started to roll over, and I think I saw it somewhere in here or down here, and I had some other stuff going on. I wasn't going to be able to watch it much the rest of the day. So I moved my stop to lock in an R if it pulled back to it, and set my target somewhere down here. And through some of the, at some point, oh no, I think it was in here. Somehow it moved back up high enough, even just coming in right here, it stopped me out or trailed me out for an R. I got an R. I gained an R on this trade. It came right back into that. And the option price on the virtual account didn't even show the stopped out price that I got. It didn't show a candle at the price I got stopped out at. It was all above where I was stopped out at. So I was kind of surprised to see it get stopped out. I wouldn't have made bank or whatever. It didn't end up rolling over. I mean, it rolled over, just not to where the target was further down here. I think it was down like 1638, 36, something like that, somewhere in that range. Actually, no, I think it was going for down in this line. It would have been a little bit more gain, but that's what I wanted to see it do today. It just didn't do it, but I still snagged the R on that. And then it rolled over. It's like, okay, could have gotten out for more, but I wasn't watching. I didn't want to, you know? And then this just chopped the rest of the day until it totally rolled over here. And I mean, I would have had to been watching this and tightening up my stop a little bit, probably would have been stopped out anyway, or trailed out anyway through here. And wouldn't have had a target sitting way down here at the end of the day, end of the month, all that kind of stuff. So not the end of the week. We still got Friday tomorrow to see what's going to happen next. But this is phenomenal. See, we broke out from this. I mean, we opened up below it, ran right up into, above the line, came back to it, double bottomed on it, started a rally, came back in that same resistance, looked like it was going to get something going again, and faded right back into the line, and then came right back down. And the closing price right here is about the same price as the opening 5-minute candle. So you kind of bookended the day with that same price. So on the daily, I forgot to switch over this one. I send the chart. On the daily, you have it don't show up in the daily. All right, the close is 1639.89. The close is 1639.79. So 10 cents lower than that opening 5-minute candle. Not that would make it a bearish candle, maybe 10 cents. It's just, if you discounted that candle, you've got a, well, no, you can't do it. Never mind. I was thinking if that price was the open, but no, the open was down here. That was just a nice 5-minute move. Anyway, switching back over to the daily, we've got this thing now closed above this line. Last time it did that, it only did it this one time. And this was a gap up that completely faded the next day. I mean, this is looking like it's starting to curve a little bit up. And it's not massive. It's just these slight things. And if you go back and look at some of this stuff, you have some of these slight curves up throughout this thing. And you have these moves that just kind of started to go a little bit, grind a little bit, grind. And then it's like, whoa, how do we get up here? All these small ones, like this in here is key. It's like, oh, it's just going to grind a little higher. And it does that day after day after day after day after day. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're, however much percent, we're up 5%, we're up 7%, in a month. And I see the potential of that here. Now, I'm not promising anything. I'm just saying you look back at some other candles and be like, okay, that just starts to look like you got the curves going up. The 5 is above the 21. It looks like it's gone sideways long enough that it could totally just curve up and slowly grind through the next resistance. I mean, these resistance wicks here. That's next to get past. And then 16, 65, 27. And then get back up into closing this gap and get up into 18 or low 1700s and get above this candle. It's like, okay, if I draw this out over here, I can totally see the potential that this could just kind of grind and grind and just kind of do some things. Okay, ignore when I went left, but just kind of grind higher and then up here kind of have a little bit more of a pullback and then continue on up. But I mean, it can totally just let itself grind higher. The only thing I will say to discount that idea is this squeeze, this momentum build, because that could make this happen so much faster. That will just shoot through the roof once it triggers, probably in a matter of 7 to 10 days to just continue a bigger move up if it goes bullish. That's what I'm anticipating. So back to the 5-minute. There was opportunities to short up here. That would have been with the puts. Let's see, 1665 puts. Why did that load? 1665 put. You had an opportunity to buy like this, buying off a 10 by 9. That rallied right back up to the opening price, or not the opening price, the low here at 17. The low in the stock, the high in the option at the open, and going from 10 to 17, that's 7R, or even getting out 15, 16, and then coming back down and looking like, okay, maybe it's going to hold 10 by 9, and it didn't, and could have been stopped out, and then tried again 10 by 9 right here, and maybe stopped out when it came back down here right at 9. I think this is where I was getting in. I did 10 by 9. I got filled at 870. Or I'm sorry, did 10 by 9, I got filled at 970. Moved the stop down to 870. I think it was 12. No, it was 11 something. It was over here. And I moved the stop down to 870. Did not get stopped out here when it did that little rally thing. When it did this, I was in on this candle. I got a good fill. And then when this happened, I'm like, oh, I'm stopped out. But I wasn't, because it didn't come down to 870. And then once it got up here, it was trading 11, 12, somewhere, or not quite 12. In here, I moved my stop up to 1070 from 970, from 870 up to 1070 to lock in that, or 1075, I think, something like that, to lock in an R. Knowing that I didn't want to watch it, I just wanted to let it go and then set my target up at like 17, the same high up here. It never got up to 17, got up to like 14. But I think in here I was stopped out. Like it never came back down to 1070. But the virtual count doesn't always work out the way the real one would with actual volume. I don't know. So anyway, could have gotten out for like 12 here or 14, 13, 14 over here. Didn't happen. I'm okay with that. I got an R, and then for the calls, buying up at the open, coming back down, getting that same price again. This is the 1650 calls. Double bottom in here. Could have been buying in this like 5x4 or 450 by 350. That would have worked nicely. Gotten a few out of that, and then probably tried to get in, with a really tight setup here going bullish, but I was already in bearish and kind of waiting to get stopped out when I thought was happening here. And then bulls were trapped and it just rolled back down. That's why the puts worked. That's the other thing with this. Let's see. I don't think there was much volume. Yeah, there was a pickup in volume here. with that bullish candle, but not massive, not something like this. This was your exhaustion volume here. You know, I mean, that's a lot of shares coming in this late in the day. I know it's only 35,000, 41,000. That's a lot of shares right in a row near resistance that people who missed it were the ones buying here, buying that kind of breakout of this candle when it's already had this run up, like it's had, you know, these double bottoms. You know, how many can you count in here? I'm seeing, let me draw it again. Color. Let's go with, I don't know if gray's going to show up. I don't know if brown's going to show up. With this, I'll just do yellow again. All right, double bottom, 1. Double bottom, 2. Double bottom, 3. I'm going to say 4 and 5, like that. I mean, a ton of these double bottoms, and they're usually like 1 here, 2 here, 3. It was a little bit tough because it was above. I want to say they're bouncing off these lines. They're at good locations. You know, they're good places. I mean, this and this were great locations. This one wasn't as good. So if this one wasn't being played bullish right here, I mean, that's okay. There's, you know, there was other stuff going on besides the double bottom to say, okay, this is a good place to get in. Like this kind of little, this pullback looking like it's going to go bearish and then seeing it break out bullish. Let's see, if you were getting in on this candle, 10-15, going bullish, that would have been this. Would have been totally trapping people. So that would have been triggered in at like 550 by 450. No, probably wouldn't have had that. Maybe just getting in above that candle. So probably like 525 by 425. Or maybe you would have been another strike out. I don't know. So there's just potential to make something there. Or wait for it to go sideways and get in 6 by 5 and then just get out at 8, 2R. You know, that still works too. So a lot of opportunities today. I want to switch over to the monthly. Not here, though. And just show where we ended up in the month. So here we go. We got a bullish candle. The open was 1638.88 and the close was 1639.83. We closed up by 95 cents on the month. This was a sideways month. The last time we had a month, this shape, this kind of candle, this high wave candle, the spinning top candle was back here. This one was bearish. This one was above the 21. We were a little ways away from, we were above the 5 and the 21. We were a little ways away from both, really far away from the 21. But look what we did. We, let's see, the open and the low were a couple bucks apart, almost shaved bottom of the monthly, but we just rallied really hard on that. It was a great consolidation right here. I see the potential there right here. We're not above the 5 on the monthly. We've got a really nice small candle and things are looking up. I mean, I could see the potential that after we've had so much of a rally and then a pullback into the 21, I mean, this really could just curve up and keep going. This could be the S curve right here and keep going up. And I've got my cursor way up here. Like, I'm not saying it will make a new all-time high by the end of the year, but it's got the potential that it could. And the monthly isn't the time to be making these, isn't the chart to be making the bigger decisions like that. I mean, we've still had a massive move. We just really consolidated here. And I haven't looked to see if there's long-term moving average or anything in this range, because I'm more focused on, not the monthly, not the daily, the 5-minute. There's so much interaction with these different lines. I'm going to leave both of these lines on here, and we'll see tomorrow if we do any sort of thing in between, between the range here, or if we can hold above, continue moving up, completely break down, gap below. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're retesting at the close day. At the after hours, we've retested this channel from above. We're back inside of it. We did that once, twice, 3 times, and it stayed underneath it. We can do it again 3 times in the last 3 days. it's ran up to that here, again, here and held that, or rolled over. This is the only time we actually got above. We opened above it, came back down, retested, bounced, and then broke down, and really we S-curved lower here. And then here we didn't get up there, and here we didn't get up there, and now we actually broke out today. So if this plays out like it's done more often than the other way, this should have a bit of a sell-off and maybe see an open around 1638 or something. Get below some of this, get back into the middle of this range, show it indecisive, and see which way it's going to go, you know? Or it could do something totally different. I don't know, but I'll watch in the morning if I can, and we'll see what happens during tomorrow's video. So I hope you enjoyed this one. This is Just AMZN. Thanks.